Hey y'all. We are going to talk more about poetry today. So if you see me looking down, it's because I have like a cheat sheet of how I've already analyzed the poem. So the first poem that we're going to really look at is Nothing Gold Can Stay by Robert Frost. And I chose this poem because it was included in The Outsiders, so you're kind of already familiar with it. Even though we haven't really studied poetry, we've read it one time in The Outsiders, and I think you guys will really get the meaning of this, once I explain everything. So I'm going to try to kind of show you online what I actually did on my paper. I don't know if you can see, like, I have a bunch of notes and stuff on my paper. So I'm going to try to show you on my computer as best I can the way that I analyze this. So if you see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at. So first of all, I'm going to give us some more space in between these lines. And I'm going to try to post maybe like a screenshot of this once it's all marked up so you guys have it as kind of a way that you can, a reference piece, a way that you can look back and see what all we did. So anyway, the way that I like to analyze poetry is I go line by line, and I kind of break down that line one at the time, and I ask myself, okay, what does this line mean? What does this line mean? And then once I've gone over all the lines, then I go back and I say, okay, what does all this mean together? Because each line has its own meaning, but the whole poem has a deeper meaning most of the time. So while we're going over this, we're also going to look for those elements of poetry that I went over in the last video, which include metaphor, simile, personification, imagery, those things. So we've gone over those. You've got the songs as examples. So now we're going to find them in poetry. We're going to see these things in action. All right, so Nothing Gold Can Stay by Robert Frost. Nature's first green is gold, her hardest hue to hold. Her early leaf's a flower, but only so an hour. Then leaf subsides to leaf, so Eden sank to grief. So dawn goes down to day, nothing gold can stay. All right, so let's take a look at the first line. Nature's first green is gold. So automatically, I know that this is a metaphor. So I'm going to underline that. And over here to the side, I'm going to type metaphor. Okay. And I know that's a metaphor because it's saying nature's first green is gold. Okay. And I know that things bud and they bloom in the springtime. So that first little bit of budding and things turning green, that's gold, that's valuable, that's precious. So I'm going to say springtime is valuable, okay, because gold is valuable, and that's kind of what our author is saying, that first time that things are budding and things are blooming and everything is pretty, that is a valuable time, it's a precious time. Okay, so next line, her hardest hue to hold. Okay, now we have some personification here. So I'm going to underline and I'm going to type personification because this woman, girl that he's talking about is nature. Okay, we've heard of Mother Nature. So that's kind of what he's referring to. Nature being a person. And it's saying that, well, let me ask you this first. I know that a lot of us have never probably even heard the word hue. So how can we figure out what hue means in this sentence? I'm going to give you a hint because you can't answer me. It's a recording. Up here we have nature's first green is gold. Both of those are also colors. Okay, so this next line that says her hardest hue to hold, a hue is a color. Okay, and it's saying that you can't really hold on to those colors. Sure, things are going to turn green in the springtime. They're going to stay green through the summer, but then in the fall, they're going to turn orange or brown or whatever color. And then in the winter, they're going to die. So you can't really hold on to that spring bloom. You kind of have to let everything take its course. Okay, so over here to the side, not to do with personification, I'm going to put spring doesn't stay. You can't hold on to it. Okay, you can't make it stay there. All right, line 3. Her early leaves a flower. So again, we've got that personification. So we're going to underline it. I'm going to type personification. If I can type it. Okay. So typically, when we think of things blooming and things being pretty, we think of flowers, not really, like a tree getting its leaf for the first time in the spring or a plant getting its leaf. We think about, those flowers are so pretty, not just the whole thing. So her early leaves of flower, that's kind of saying early on, they get their flowers and we'd say, oh, they're so pretty. Okay. So let's say something like her early leaves of flowers. So at first, a flower blooms. Does the flower stay the whole time? No. Eventually, the flower is going to die. And it may die before the plant dies for the winter. Okay? But only so an hour. So it doesn't stay very long. Okay, and I'm going to type that over to the side. It doesn't stay very long. Okay, so then we enter our second, I don't really know if you'd call it a stanza. There's no break. So anyway, line 5 says, then leaf subsides to leaf. So in other words, all that happens, the leaves begin falling. Okay, over time, the leaves start falling. Okay, so Eden sank to grief. Now, if any of you are Christian, you know that Adam and Eve were in the Garden of Eden, and they ate from the tree of knowledge, and they were cast out. They were kicked out of the Garden of Eden. They weren't allowed to live there anymore. So as you can imagine, that was a very sad time. So this Eden sank to grief is an allusion. It's a reference to something famous. Now, whether you believe that actually happened or not, I personally do. It's still famous. A lot of people know about it. So whether or not you believe in Christianity, this is still a reference to something famous because a lot of people know about it worldwide. Okay, so the leaves are falling. This is also kind of like where we bring about sadness, okay, because grief, that's sadness. All right, next. So dawn goes down today. In that line, the sun is setting. Okay. The sun rises in the morning in the spring, and it sets in the fall going into winter at the end of the day. So our day has passed in this poem, and dawn goes down today. The sun is setting. And the last line, nothing gold can stay. So all these beautiful things have to pass. They can't stay. So I'm going to put all things must pass. Now, this line here is a great example of imagery because the sun is setting, and we've all seen the sun set, right? We can kind of see that in our minds as we read. So dawn goes down today. Another thing I want to talk to you about really quickly is rhyme scheme. Rhyme scheme is how your lines rhyme at the end. And so this poem, it has a rhyme scheme of A, because gold and hold rhyme. Then B, so flower and hour rhyme. Now, the reason I put B instead of A is because gold and hold do not rhyme with flower and hour. If they did, we would put an A there, but they don't. Okay, so our next line is leaf, and leaf doesn't rhyme with anything that we've already put, so we're going to put a completely new letter, C. And grief does rhyme with leaf, so we're going to label it C. Okay. Dawn goes down to day. None of that matches our A, B, or C. So we're going to put D. And then stay, D. Now, I know I'm going over this really fast. It's okay. It's our first poem. We're doing it together. Don't worry. All right. Now, down here at the bottom, I'm going to type some more stuff because I want us to take a look at this poem as a whole. Okay? So, this poem is short, it's sweet, it's to the point, but it has a lot of deeper meaning. Okay? Nature's first green is gold. That's talking about the spring. Okay? Her heart is to you to hold her early leaves of flower. So you're kind of moving into summer. Okay, spring and summer are not going to stay. Leaf subsides to leaf, so you're moving into fall. And then dawn goes down to day. Nothing gold can stay. You're kind of moving into winter. So you're moving through the 4 seasons in this poem. This is also symbolic. Okay, remember, one thing represents another. Okay, this is symbolic of our lives as human beings, right? We were all born a baby. Did we stay a baby? No, we didn't. We grew and we became a toddler. And then we started going to kindergarten. And now you're 12 and 13 years old, right? And then one day you'll be an old fogey like me at 25. So as we move through our lives, we can't hold on to those precious times. You know, you can't be a baby forever. You can't be 12 forever. Sometimes that's a good thing, and sometimes that's a bad thing. Okay? So it's symbolic of our lives. Okay? Nothing gold can stay. All those, fun times where maybe you're having a sleepover with your friends and you're like, oh man, I wish this would never end. That can't happen, right? It has to end. But that makes us more appreciative of those good times that we have. Okay? And it's also comforting to know that when we're going through a bad time, that bad time can't stay either. So there's, the positive where the bad times, they're not going to last forever. What we're going through right now with this quarantine and the coronavirus, it's not going to last forever. But there's, also the negative that the good things aren't going to last forever either. They're going to end and we're going to have to move on with our lives. So, this has been Nothing Gold Can Stay. This is how we analyze poetry. We went through it line by line and then we kind of took a look at it as a whole. I know it was a lot in a short amount of time. So please, if you have questions, shoot me an email, comment below this. I'm going to let you guys have a copy of, not have your own copy, but I'm going to post this document along with the video. That way you can go back and look at it if you need to. Again, if you have questions, let me know. Thanks, guys.